Different types of mechanisms can be used to excite and maintain the motion of an oscillator. Here's the standard case that's in all the textbooks. We call it a directed drive. Here's our oscillator, mass on a spring, and an oscillatory force is exerted on the mass. There are other very different ways of exciting and maintaining the motion. We're going to talk today about parametric excitation. And this is best explained in the context of a simple pendulum. So here's our simple pendulum, length L, mass m, point mass at the end, acceleration due to gravity g. If you write down Newton's second law for this system, you get a differential equation. For small amplitudes, this is the equation you get. This is the differential equation for simple harmonic motion. And here, the natural frequency, the frequency of oscillations for small amplitude, is given by the square root of g over L. The whole idea behind parametric excitation is you modulate a parameter upon which the frequency depends. The frequency here depends upon g and L. If you can modulate either one of those, you can get parametric excitation. Now let me explain to you what I mean by modulation. In fact, it's best just to jump into the demo here. Okay, here's a simple pendulum. I'm now going to length modulate it. And you can see that I'm feeding energy into the oscillator. So the modulation here is I'm oscillating the length about its average value. What about modulating G? Well, you might think that would be very difficult, but it's actually easier than modulating the length. Let me explain that. Suppose you're in an elevator that's accelerating up and down. You're going to feel alternately heavier and lighter. In your frame of reference, G is being modulated. So we can do that here. Okay, here's the pendulum. And in the frame of reference of the support, when I oscillate vertically, I'm modulating the acceleration due to gravity. And you'll notice here that we can feed energy in. Okay. Now this parametric excitation is distinct. It's in fact very different from the direct case. One of the ways it's different is to get parametric excitation, you need a fluctuation of the oscillator here. If this were perfectly at rest, and I were driving it perfectly vertically, we would never excite it. But all it takes is a small fluctuation. Just the air in this room will do it. However, you might have to wait a while. So what we usually do is we give it a little bit of a kick. And you notice I did this before. Once we have the thing in motion, then I parametrically drive and I can very easily put energy in. So that's one way that parametric excitation is different from direct excitation. Another way that it's different is the frequency of the drive. What's the frequency of the drive here compared to the frequency of the pendulum? Well, my hand is going through one oscillation for every half an oscillation, half a cycle of the pendulum. So the drive frequency here is twice the response frequency. When you want to achieve parametric excitation, the best way to do it is to drive at twice the natural frequency. It doesn't have to be precisely on, okay, about there, and you'll get parametric excitation. Finally, the third distinction here is, and you may have noticed this before, and especially if you do it yourself, which is easy to do, I'm driving this, I'm moving my hand up and down at a constant amplitude. I'm not trying to get a big amplitude here. It's doing that on itself, by itself, okay? It turns out that the growth here of the amplitude is exponential, unlike this case. The amplitude grows exponentially. Only a nonlinearity can limit the growth. Okay, let's look at another gravity-modulated simple pendulum demonstration. This actually has two simple pendulums. This is a toy. It's called a clacker. This version is from the 1970s. And if I modulate gravity, you can see I get excitation here, and they collide. And the interesting thing about this toy here is that if you drive hard, you can get amplitudes of 180 degrees and a collision at the top, and you get just a succession where it collides back and forth like this. Now this is hard to do, and even though I've practiced, I'm not good at it. But let's give it a shot. Okay, that's good enough. It's not going to surprise you when I tell you that this was banned in the 1970s, and you can see why. These are very hard balls. They can hurt your hands, your forearm, and also they can shatter. So the current versions don't have string, they have plastic rods. It's completely removed the challenge of getting this to work. Okay, next. Parametric excitation is a very general phenomenon. It works for all kinds of oscillators, right? So let's look at generalizations. The first one is not going to impress you. This is a simple pendulum. What's this? It's a physical pendulum or an extended pendulum. The mass is uniformly distributed here. It's a different case than that. But again, it's not going to surprise you to find that when I gravity modulate this, I can excite it. Okay? Here's a more interesting example. This is a large button on a loop of string. All right, and here it is. So here's the button. We put some white out on there so you can see the orientation of the disc there. This is what we call a torsional oscillator, or a spinning oscillator. And I can demonstrate that for you this way. You see those oscillations? They're significantly damped. Well, there's definitely a frequency there, right? We have inertia, we have stiffness, we have oscillations. Now, the frequency is going to depend upon the tension in the string here. If I increase the tension, the frequency will be greater. So we have the opportunity here of parametric excitation. Now, you can sit here all day and try to excite it here. You need a significant fluctuation here. And one way of doing that is to wind it up like this. Here we go. And now I'm achieving these torsional oscillations. Whoops, they just died out. Yeah, there's a lot of damping here. Let me do this again. Okay, and you can see that by changing the tension at a high amplitude, I can get very high amplitude oscillations of this. And it starts to emit sound. In fact, the commercial ones, some of them have holes drilled such that you can clearly hear the sound. All right, so to conclude here, parametric excitation is a different way of exciting and maintaining the motion of an oscillator. It has different properties, okay? It is seldom taught in courses, and that's one of the reasons that we're making this video. Another reason is that parametric excitation has caused extensive damage in ships at sea. And if you're interested in that, you want to watch another video of ours called Parametric Instability. Thank you for watching.